Hello Year 5, it's Miss Biggs again. Welcome to your Tuesday maths lesson. In your book please, could you record today's date and the learning objective? Today we are learning to divide two-digit numbers by one digit and we're moving that learning on. Can you record flashback 4 and then answer questions 1, 2, 3 and 4 and don't forget to do your time calculations. Pause the video and have a go. Here are the answers to your flashback 4. On the first one, Dan earns £2,072 per month. How much does he earn in a year? You have to think, how many months are there in a year? And there are 12. So we would do this number and multiply it by 12 to find the answer. Here is a recap of how to do that calculation from last week. We do the 2072 multiplied by the 2, and that's this. 2072 multiplied by the 10, and that's here. Remember your place value. And here is the answer when we add the parts together. Recap on last week, 172 multiplied by 5 is 860. Which of these numbers has a remainder when you divide by 5? We know in the 5 times table they end in a 0 or a 5. This one ends in a 5, this ends in a 5, and this ends in a 0. This is not a 5 or a 0, so it must have a remainder. That will be useful to us in our learning today. Here we're doing a subtraction. Check you did subtraction in your calculation. So we should end up with a number that is less than the number we started with. That number is 2,240. In our time question, you can see it's just a few minutes before 7. So it is therefore 6:58 a.m. or p.m. In our 24-hour clock, don't forget that 0, 06:58 if it's a.m. the morning, and 18:58 if it is p.m. We don't put a.m. or p.m. We just put hours because the hour part of our time shows us that. Moving our learning on. So today you can see we are looking at dividing two-digit numbers by one-digit numbers again. Let's begin with our learning. So get ready with a few warm-up questions to get us started. Pause the video and have a go. Let's look at those answers. So we're looking in our 7 times table until we get to 21. The answer is 3 because 7 times 3 is 21. Here, this is one more than 21. So it will fit in 3 times and it will have 1 left over. We write that as 3R1, remainder 1. Here, let's skip to number 4. 35 divided by 7. We know 35 is in our 7 times table, which fits in 5 times, but this is 1 less on number 3, so it can't fit 5 whole times. 7 times 4 would give us 28, and then we would add another 6 to get to 34, but we don't have 7 to make it into another group. We're going to use those skills as we learn today. Our first question, 75 divided by 6. So we're going to do, building on from our skills yesterday, we're going to have our place value counters over here and our tens and ones grid over here. Notice again our tens and ones, because 75 is tens and ones, and we've divided by 6, so there are 6 rows. Here I've got my number, so I'm going to split that. And as you can see, I can put 6 of those 10s into rows, but that leaves me with 1 10. Have a think back to yesterday. What did we do? You should remember that we then exchanged it for 10 ones. So we've still got the same number. And now we have 15 ones. You can see, therefore, that we've taken that 75 and we split it into 60, which is 6 10s. We've divided that by 6 rows, which is 10 on each row. And that leaves us with those 15 ones, and we're going to divide that by 6. Bit more tricky there. So we can share out equally on each row 2 of those, but we then have a remainder of 3 that cannot fit to make equal rows, and we call that the remainder. If we have a look here, on each row there are 12 whole groups, and then we have a remainder out here of 3 that do not fit into those groups. Use that method now to have a go at numbers 1 and 2 here. Pause the video and use that method. Welcome back. Let's have a look at how to do that. So 53 divided by 3. Well, I can take 3 of those 10s because I'm dividing by 3. I've built 3 rows. 3 of those 10s fit neatly onto there. But that left me with 2 of those 10s from 53, and I've put them over here. So I've made them into 21s. I've then shared them out equally, and as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on each row, but there were 2 counters that did not fit. Therefore, we have got 17 on each row, and there were 2 counters left outside that did not fit equally. 17, remainder 2. 64 divided by 5. Now we can see, if you remember back to the beginning of our lesson, that anything that ends in a 4 cannot be in our 5 times table. We can already tell it will have remainders. So we've got our 64 and we've shared it out as far as we can. So out of those 6 10s, we can put 5 of those into rows because we need 5 rows. So that's 50. And we've taken the leftover 10 and swapped it into 10 ones, and we now have 14 ones. We've shared those 14 ones out as best we can, but there were 4 ones left over that would not fit into the group. On each row there are 12, so it will fit in 12 times, and outside the group there are 4 leftover counters, so it will fit in 4 whole times with a remainder of 4. Let's have a look at 17 divided by 5. Let's build it again. Now if we have a look here, we've got a 10, and we have got 5 rows because we're dividing by 5. I can't put the 110 here and have nothing left on these rows. So when we get to that situation, we know we exchange it for 10 ones. I now have 17 ones altogether. I share those out equally as best I can. So now there are 3 on each of those 5 rows, and I'm left with 2 counters that do not fit. Therefore, it fits in 3 whole times, and there are 2 remaining that cannot fit into a group. If I just check that with the inverse, 5 times by that 3 is 15, and then if I add those 2 on, it makes 17. I can check that that answer makes sense. Let's have a look at this one. 25 divided by 3. I have made my number with my place value counters, made my grid over here, but I have 2 10s that will not share equally into 3 rows. Have a think, have a go. Can you apply the same method? Pause the video and try. Let's have a look at your answer. Those 2 10s, of course, we exchange for 20 ones. Now we can begin to share them out equally so that each group has the same number in it. If I have a look here then, I have got 1 left over. So if I have a look at this row, there are 8 ones in each row, and there is 1 left over outside. That is a remainder of 1. Double check. With our inverse, 3 times by the 8 is 24. Add on the remaining 1 makes 25. Therefore we are correct. 55 divided by 5 is 11. Therefore, if I add 1 onto there, which is 56, I should therefore still have 11 groups, but have that 1 extra remaining that doesn't fit in a group. We can follow that pattern by increasing that by 1. that increases our remainder by 1. 58 divided by 5 is 1 more again, therefore it's 11 whole groups with a remainder of 3 now. 59 divided by 5, 1 more, is 11, remainder 4. Is this correct? 60 divided by 5 is 11, remainder 5. Is that correct? Let's check by using our method. Here are our 60 built with 10, and there are 6 of those 10s. We can put 5 of those, because we're dividing by 5, equally into those 5 rows, which leaves us with 1 10. We know to exchange that for 10 ones and move them across, and you can see they fit neatly into those boxes with nothing left over. On each row we can clearly see that there are 12. So actually the answer is 12. And you can see there's a bit of a pattern. When we divide by 5, the highest remainder we can have is 1 less than 5. So we can have a remainder of 1, 2, 3 or 4, but we cannot have a remainder of 5 because that makes a new group. The rule is the remainder must be smaller than the divisor. The divisor means the number you divide by. Pause the video and use that rule. The remainder must be smaller than the divisor to fit these. Let's check. Number 1. When we divide by 7, the largest remainder we can have is 6. That's 1 less than 7. When we divide by 4, the largest remainder we can have is 3. That's 1 less than 4. So when we divide by a number like 36, the largest remainder we could actually have is 1 less, which is 35. Have a turn now at questions 1 to 4 on the worksheet, but I'd like to show you how I want you to lay that out. Look this way. Lay out in your book, just like yesterday, 1 digit, 1 square, nice and neatly, and then we lay it out just as we've done before. You could pause the video to have a look at how to lay it out and use this to support you for each of your questions in 1 to 4. Don't forget, if you need to do writing, it's not 1 letter in each square, we write in our normal handwriting. For example, there is 1 counter left over because, and write your explanation. Pause and finish those now. Let's have a look then at the next section as we move on at the end of question 4. Let's try it in a problem-solving situation. Apples are packed in bags of 8. Dexter's got 91 apples. How many bags does Dexter need so every apple is in a bag? Think what the calculation will be. We've got the 91 apples and we're dividing it into bags of 8. So let's use our abilities in our calculation strategies to help us work this out. There's our 90 and our 1, and we're dividing it into 8 rows. So 8 of those 10s fit neatly into those 8 rows. That leaves us with 1 10 and 1 1. You can see therefore that we've split 91 into 80, and that leaves us with 11 more to make that 91. We know that that 10 needs to be exchanged for 10 ones, and we can move 8 of those ones neatly over there, which leaves us with 11 on each row and 3 ones on the outside. So the answer is 11, remainder 3. Let's go back to the question though. How many bags does Dexter need to build this? 11 bags? Well, no, because there are 3 apples left. So he actually needs 12 bags because he's got to put those leftover 3 apples into a bag so that every apple is in a bag. Your turn then to finish the worksheet. To help you think how to lay that out, just have a quick look here. Lay it out in our books, just like this. Pause the video and it gives you examples on how to do it. For those of you doing the red level challenge, remember the layout as explained yesterday. Good luck, everyone!